Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Tech Dialogues in 2025. And as we said last year, we are going to elevate this podcast to the next level. And in addition to IDC's inputs, we are also going to talk to the brands that make these technologies and products happen. And I'm proud to tell you that for our first episode, we have Mr. Aditya Babbar from Samsung. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Navkendar, as always, it's great to do this with you for year 2 running.
My pleasure.
How has the new year been so far?
Oh, absolutely great. Few resolutions. I'm keeping up with them. It's been 20 days, but I think
20 days is a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start.
Yeah, and for you, Aditya, it's actually been a great year. CES had some great TVs, laptops, appliances, and we, depending on when you're watching this, we recently just saw the launch of the S25 family as well. So how has that been?
Very exciting. I think it started on a great note, and we have been on a skateboard of launches since then.
Yes.
We are still gathering together to, really start the year. So
Yeah.
for us, it's been like action-packed year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the phones, yes, is something that everyone's crazy about. I'm going to tell you, me personally, I couldn't get through, the doors to check out the new TVs at CES, but Samsung soundbars is something that I'm personally a fan of. Like the Q990D is my weapon of choice for the house. So great job on the new one. I'm looking forward to the 2025 one. So that's just a personal plug for a Samsung.
Thank you.
Great product that I have. So Navkendar, anything that you're looking forward to that was maybe announced at CES? And you can't talk about the Ray-Ban glasses you have on, right?
no. So it's not a plug for Ray-Ban or anything, but I've been using it for 6 months. I think as a consumer, a technology product or a device, the usefulness or utility comes how often you use it.
Yeah.
And I think this is the product which is on my face for about 17 hours in a day. And ironically, I use audio more than the photographs.
Okay.
That's probably a factor of age also. I don't click so many photographs. But I think I take my calls on it. I listen to my podcast and everything, and fantastic audio. So I think this has been my tech purchase of last year. Again, TVs, Samsung TVs and the soundbar. Again, same thing. I'm really excited about that. Apart from S25, I'm sure the AI features are much more better than S24. So looking forward to that.
So since we've gotten on the topic of AI, like the first question is about where AI is for the average consumer today, right? And just to give an example to our viewers and listeners who probably are still very confused, look at YouTube, where YouTube was when they started, right? It was a platform for just people to come and enjoy cat videos. Today, YouTube has some of the best documentaries, some of the best indie films, you have news, you have product launches happening there live. It is giving the likes of a Netflix a run for its money, right? That's the kind of growth. Same thing for, let's say, video games is something that I'm very passionate about. You had 2 sticks hitting a ball called Pong, and today you have graphics that are more real than reality. So where do you see AI in its nascent stage today, and how do you see it evolving now? Let's start with you, Aditya.
At the 2024, we started a new era of mobile AI, and we have been continuously pushing the boundaries to bring AI for everyone. Today, we have more than 200 million devices which are connected through AI, right from Galaxy S to Galaxy Z to connected, wearables and more. What we have been continuously working on, that how do we bring consumer to do more and be more with the device, whether it is about productivity, creativity, or communication. Today AI really helps you in every sphere of life, and that's been our mission, that how do we make it more usable, like you said, that how you evolve the use case in an everyday lifespan, rather than it's being a tech out there.
Yeah, Navkendar, what's your opinion on this?
So I'll take from your example of YouTube. I think we're in an era where we don't have to wait for 15 years for a technology or a platform to pick up. And that's sign of the times also. The connectivity is huge. We have about 5 billion plus people who are using a phone, data on every day. And the phone is one thing which is on everybody's person, and almost 18 hours in a day. So we don't have to wait for another 10 years for AI to be mainstream. Second point being, we have to be very clear with the fact, we believe internally at IDC that this is not an incremental change which will happen. And I'm not talking only about the phones, not only the consumers, both commercial and consumer, and even at the back end of the platforms. This is going to be a transformative change. I think that's one thing which has to be very clear for everyone. Now, brands like Samsung, some of the other brands, they will start bringing the products, and I think all kudos to Samsung also. It started with S24 last year. But I think, and all credit to the industry also, but I think we have moved from, I would say, at least in 2024, just from megapixels to AI being the marketing message, and that's sign of the times also because some marketing lever was required. I think this year, by this year end, with S25 coming in now, with other brands, having an open circle to search and other from Google, and with possibly Apple 17 launch, which was Apple 16, didn't do anything in Apple Intelligence. Hopefully that happens. I think we have to wait for another probably few months, few quarters, where it starts happening. Now, right now, fortunately, unfortunately, below, and I'm talking about India, below a particular price point, consumers are not buying the phone because of AI.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not that, people want object to be raised at the back end. That has been happening for 4 years. But they think that's AI, which is fine. Right now, I think for the first few quarters of this year, including Samsung, brands have a responsibility to communicate the features. As Aditya mentioned, how can I do more on the phone without doing more on the phone?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be important.
Exactly.
Consumer needs to be told that in a very simple way, that how can I do more things on the phone without doing more of that. With conversational computing, which has been a term for the past 7-8 years, I think right now we're seeing the manifestation of that. So I think it'll change.
I want to take that point forward, what again just mentioned. To change behavior and shape behaviors, it's very difficult. It's a technology which needs to, adapt to behavior. When you go and write a message, I can't tell you that you need to go and write a message as a prompt which will give you the message out.
Yeah.
It needs to be in that same bar, and then you need to apply the AI in the same bar and give the output.
Yeah.
Now, but as a consumer, my life is very demanding. I need sometime professional, I need social, I need casual. Now, again, the adaptation needs to be by the technology, not by the person.
Yeah.
Similarly, while again, Navkendar mentioned that we are clicking a picture, I should not know what's happening when you're actually designing the scene. It should happen. The technology to adapt to me. And that's been the mission what we have been into, that how do we adapt technology and bring it in everyday consumer's life? They should not change. We should change every input of the device which can give them an output of which is AI-led.
Absolutely, and there's always going to be the features which will be launched, which when you launch a new product in the market, there will be the first movers who will want to adopt it and try it out, and then there'll be some tweaks to it before it hits the masses. And I think 24 was a good year. Like Navkendar said, you guys started with the S24, but towards the end of the year, we saw a lot of phones at different price points that came with features like Circle to Search and the other AI features that Samsung had. So how has the communication been on different price points and different devices, because they're targeted at a very different audience, right? So the one who's going for a flagship phone is probably a more tech-savvy person who wants the latest technology, is fairly abreast. So communicating with this audience is fairly different for someone who starts with a price point of, let's say, 15, 20, 25,000 and then looks at what features I can get. So how has the communication been here?
Again, I feel that the way consumer have adapted AI, there was always a latent need. Imagine myself as an investor who is doing business into a different part of the world. Now, there was a time when I used to carry a translator with me. Today, I'm making 10 calls and here's a translator which is just helping me. Who would have imagined you would have been walking in a Thailand street and you wanted to translate a menu with just your phone, you can just do it on one go.
Yeah.
So, it's been very need-led. There was always that latent need which can help the consumer to do that. With the advent of AI, that is getting solved today. Again, I put that every consumer have the different AI need. Like we put it within Samsung is, one is a simple need of productivity. When I'm writing an email or when I'm doing something on multi-device, how can AI help me to do better? For example, you've recorded a great video from your phone, you take it to your laptop for editing, and then you just bring it back and upload it. So there are two motions which are working, which is click and edit. How do multi-device comes into play and really bridges the need and empower the consumer to do better than it was. So, there have been a lot of adoptions which we see at different price point, and I personally feel it is not about the price point. Consumer is very, very aspirational. If the technology can give that bridge to do the need set better, the adoptions will be very, very different. It's a multiplier. So it is not about the price. It is, as a brand and a marketer, the responsibility to us that how do we make the relevance feel in his mind for the adoption to happen, and then they just open the wallet.
Absolutely, but And this is of course from being a part of the industry where we get access to your devices well in advance, and we can see these features as a publisher. We'll do some content for it, or we'll upload a video saying, oh, this is how Circle to Search works. In fact, just to give you a more new age example, is I saw the Galaxy Book 5 at CES, and somebody said you can Circle to Search, create an itinerary and just drag it onto your smartphone or tablet and then walk away from your hotel room, right? Now that's great, and I have seen it, and I can tell people, my readers, my viewers about it. From a marketing angle, the various channels of communication that you have, and these are some questions we've received from our viewers who want to know a little bit of the marketing side of it as well, is what are the type of channels that you prefer to use as a communication method to highlight these new features to people who aren't aware? Like when I tell my dad that, hey, you can just, bring your Galaxy earbuds next to your phone and they'll pair. He's like, oh, do I need to not go into the Bluetooth settings anymore? So that consumer education, what are the tools that are the most helpful for you there?
So definitely, I will say we put it in a three very simple bucket. First is about education, education, and education. Whenever there's an advent of new technology, you need to continuously educate the consumer with how to. Just as an example of S25, that same night we went with 9 different how to, because consumers are looking at how will I make it happen.
Yeah.
Then you need people, that examples in people's real life, with people like you and me using it and showing it to the world to bring a testimony. Okay, this will work.
Yeah.
It is not an advertising. And the biggest thing what we have been able to achieve with Galaxy AI is that the way we have brought it in life of the people. Let me take 2 examples to really portray it. When we went on our first print ad and I was on a design board with my team, we actually went into the data to see what do India search. And it is very, very interesting the kind of food which is searched in India in different states.
Yeah.
It's like intuitively you will say, okay, this is a food which people will go and write, but Delhi is searching something different and Goa is searching something different. So we actually, did those search first attribution to our Circle to Search ad, and it went viral. People were asking over LinkedIn or in different places that, we want to see that why is Samsung advertising a Goa resort in, say, Kerala, and they are advertising, say, a Kerala boat in Punjab. But that was a trend which we saw on different portals, that how consumers are searching.
Yeah.
Now, the second example which really comes in our life is that imagine, a situation where a new investor from a tier 2 town wants to make a pitch to a German or a Spanish investor. How will it make it happen? How will he even start the conversation? Now, that's where, we have brought this translation bridge, that how they can connect and they can communicate. So imagine you're writing a message in Hindi and the other guy is receiving it in Spanish. Now, the testimony to show that and see it happening on the screen is that and wow moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Navkendar, shifting perspectives, right? Like all the brands that are either bringing AI or any new feature, as a matter of fact, are going to market it a lot. And there is going to be a little bit of a shift in at least the tier 1 consumer mindset, that I'm going to go and probably check this out, and if I like it, buy it. In your opinion, how much does this actually affect a buying decision for a user? Or do you see the advent of a new feature, a market leader coming at and introducing a feature first, maybe 3-6 months before the competition, and seeing an uplift in their product sales just because of innovation?
Oh, absolutely, it happens. But fortunately, unfortunately, in India, for some brands, fortunately, in the premium space at least, which we say 50,000 plus, for argument's sake, about $600, it's a 2-horse race, right? So Apple and Samsung. And while we have seen pilferage from one bucket to another, but many of the people, at least for 3-4 years, they stick with one brand, and then obviously something happens. We have seen conversations now started happening that a particular brand is boring. Can I see that, what it does for me? But here, again, from base consumer point of view, you told him or her, as we say, consumer is she, for the past 20 years that phone is a Swiss knife.
Yeah.
Now you're telling him you don't need to touch the Swiss knife. You're trying to break a habit, but at the same time, you're trying to build new habits. For example, the closest to this is, I don't know how many of you use, there used to be an app called If Triple T. If this, then that.
Yeah.
Click a photograph. As soon as I click a photograph, it goes to my pocket, or I download on the Chrome, I load a page, it goes to my pocket and gets saved. Pocket is save me later, right? So this is what AI is. Now, do you want consumer to do more things on the phone? No, that should not happen. It should become a habit that whenever search happens, he doesn't need to go to the Google tab. He does this and Google search happens. Now this habit building will take some time. People, consumers with right kind of marketing who get attracted by this, they will probably pick it up from the first, and then the discovery, it's on the brand's OS, will start happening.
Yeah.
But I think at the purchase decision, it's not happening.
Okay.
Prima
take
facie
time.
right now.
Yeah.
That'll take time. And I'm sure other brands will also, catch up at that time. But at the premium end, Samsung certainly has a lead in the AI space right now. So if somebody's thinking about AI, a lot of marketing is happening. He's hearing a lot of stuff. Even with DeepSeek or other, AI is the buzzword right now, right? It doesn't make sense for a marketer to, at least the premium end, not to speak about AI. It'll start happening. In the premium end, it's already there.
Yeah.
Let me give one more example. We are talking about a consumer on a lot into consumption. Let me put an example of another thing which we do is learn with Galaxy. And what I saw with AI was unbelievable and something which you and I would have always dreamt of, to have a German journal or a journal in a foreign languages and to translate in one shot. I saw it in one of the schools where we run this program called Learn with Galaxy. How students were translating different PDFs into their language and then making it part of the report.
Right.
Now that's a shift which never existed.
Right.
Yeah.
Today as a consumer, you are using tons of translation to enable it.
Yeah.
So that's where the impact of AI for every consumers are very, very different. And like Navkendar said, it will spiral. It will keep going bigger and bigger the way things goes.
Yeah.
One last point here.
Yeah.
We should not, as marketer, as media people, as an analyst also, we should not expect all the consumers to pick up even 70-80% of the use cases. That will not happen. I use an iPhone or a Samsung, I don't click photographs. People say, why are you using high-end phones? It does other things for me.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different use case for a device, right? Not everybody takes a laptop only to do, web meetings.
Yeah.
Some people do only gaming, or some people do only for, consumption or creation. So I think those specific use cases, people are smart enough, consumer is smart enough, they will pick up those, and top 3 or 4, they'll make it a habit. So I think that habit making is when the consumer starts demanding things because of that, asking more of it, and the usage also spirals. It's with every technology, it happens.
Absolutely, and keeping the thought process of every technology in mind, when I was a younger journalist back in the day, the first the scams that we started covering were phishing scams where people were sending you links on Facebook, you clicked it and then your PC was hacked, your computer was hacked, or lately a few years ago also you heard it that somebody will call you and say give me your OTP and stuff like that, right? So safety, safeguard measures with the misuse of any technology that keeps happening, like the examples I gave you. So how
on the scam piece,
yeah,
my mother is using a Samsung phone. She said, I'm hearing a lot about AI. She said, I'm hearing a lot about scams also, all the cyber scams. He said, why can't AI tell me that this is not a real police station on the video call?
Yeah.
Now, that's a perfectly relevant and perfectly fair ask.
Yeah.
Will a brand be able to deliver, or will Google or Samsung or somebody be able to deliver? These are the real use cases. Suddenly, the anxiety of a consumer, right now the buzzword is a scam which is happening.
Yeah.
Why can't AI figure out that this video call is not the real police station? Might not be technically possible, but they're asking that. So those are the kind of use cases we're starting. Just a small anecdote.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or there could be like even the misuse of AI could be that somebody could call you and sound like a person that you know.
Yeah.
So as a brand or as an analyst, how have you come across this? So how are you preparing to safeguard the users to not to have a more secure experience of this?
I think these are very, very relevant questions which we keep going back to that. With an advent of all the new technology, it should not be at the compromise of security, and that's been our pillar one from day one when we have talked about security aspects with AI. I think the classic example is what's happening in S25 today. We believe that the power should sit in the hands of consumer. They should decide that whether they want this to be used or not. So we have developed this new engine called personal engine for the entire AI where all your information sits. Now that's protected by Knox. Nobody can come and check your preferences or your keys. It's been protected. So first, it's a extremely secure system. Imagine yourself, you have built different preferences. It's again the power in your hand that you can actually delete the data the day you want and don't want. 3, we never used some of these data for promotion. And that's been our pillar, that how important is an on-device AI, and how we are working on a hybrid AI model with on-device and cloud to make it more and more consumer-friendly. Lastly, a very, very important aspect of this also comes in when you do multi-devices. Now, that's where we have built this new technology of Metris, where we really keep it secured from device A to device B. So as a brand, we have taken a lot of initiative. Whenever you do a generative image on the device, it's watermark. There's a meta which is always there, that this is a generative image. So that's a curve which we are into. And I believe that when you get into an technology curve, it needs to be continuous learning, continuous adaptation to the things you see, and keep the consumer preference of security at the core of it.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to add? Maybe something. I remember once we'd spoken about how deep fake was taking over a lot of communication online. So
this will fall in the bucket of probably the pitfalls of AI. One thing I think we need to remember, obviously, the data privacy and security is important. Brands have to work. Google and others have to work towards it. Data is very important. But I think what we are seeing also is, for example, one of my known's father is a teacher. He's a professor in a college. I was generally chatting with him. I said, people must be using a lot of ChatGPT and others to submit the report. He said, yeah, we know that. Now we figured out. We give them an open and subject now. Do it. Let's see which can explain better. Who can explain better? Not only submit that, but tell me the précis of that after that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that these things are here to stay. There's no point fighting the technology.
Yeah.
Right? People will adapt to it. People will adapt to. Some people, including me, have a fundamental problem with, without naming names, how photos. For example, I keep on joking with my wife that my kid is 8 years old right now. Will he be able to trust the photographs which we have taken now when he's 25?
Yeah, absolutely.
He would know that this might not have happened at that moment. He might not be Disneyland. You are telling me that you took me to Disneyland. He might not know that. Because these things will happen. So I think that's a separate discussion which can be had. Yeah. Some brands are doing, put watermark and everything else. But I think consumers are aware of these.
Yeah.
I would say again, the early adopters are aware of these kind of things. When it comes to the masses, then the question will start. When you have phones coming at 20,000 and below, and everybody is clicking photographs and everybody putting people next to each other who are not even there, then we will see that how the things will start.
That's actually a very interesting thing when you look at the dark side of technology. And for those of you that are watching, there is the show on Netflix called Black Mirror. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. It's about the dark side of technology, and it truly is entertaining and kind of really shows you what the dark side of technology could be. So it's a very interesting watch. But keeping in with the vision of AI, right? If you look at the future, I remember seeing a post on Reddit once where somebody put out that I would rather have AI do my dishes so I can create art and culture, right?
Exactly.
So where do you see crystal ball gazing the future of AI? Maybe someone like me who, when our team was there at San Francisco for the Samsung launch, was more excited to see driverless taxis come and chauffeur them around. For me, it's about the Iron Man future, right? I have my AI Jarvis who I can just talk to and say, okay, my wife's birthday, send her flowers at her office. What time is the kid getting off school? That's the kind of future I envision. Where do you see AI a few years from now?
True companion. AI will be a true companion which will be helping you to do things better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it needs to be secure and sustainable. That's the vision we have, that how it becomes your true companion, but it needs to be sustainable and secure.
Okay.
So I think a couple of things. One is, as you said, passenger mobility is going to change. We at IDC call it passenger mobility, which you call Waymo and others. In passenger mobility, I think when connected cars start happening and autonomous vehicles start coming in, while we joke around, it will happen in India also at some point. Let's just hope that
how
it
will
happens.
they circumnavigate the cows in the middle of the road?
Let's just say they figure out. AI will figure out themselves. So passenger mobility is one thing where you have entertainment, productivity, everything else which goes on in the car. You are just going from here to there. Total recall which happened, right? So if you remember that. Second is, I think, as Aditya also mentioned, you will have your personal AI, private AI, and public AI. So typical, and this is not very far, by the way. I'm not even saying 10 years. I say that I want to spend 3 months or 3 weeks in Southeast Asia, suggest me something. Now AI should know that Navkendar goes with his family at this point. Kids, schools, this is the break, these are the dates. They like to stay in 4-star hotel. They spend about 3-4 days in a destination. In about 2 weeks, they can do about 4 or 5. They don't do, I don't have to feed anything to them. That's my own AI, which will pick up data from my inboxes and everything else and tell me, this is the tickets I've got for you, this is my itinerary, and please book it right now. This will start happening. This is my own personal AI without even going anywhere. So I think this is where people are looking for, that I am not doing more on the device, but device is doing more for me. This will happen. But going forward, maybe Jarvis is the perfect example which will do everything for me.
Yeah. Let me take that example from Navkendar. That can happen, Navkendar, with the new S25.
Absolutely, not very far.
You can just say, book a ticket on these days, 4-star hotel, send it to my family. Now, all of this is happening. Imagine where the technology have actually reached. You're giving 4 different tasks to the computer. Let me break it down in a little easier example. Imagine we all need to go for a lunch today, and we say we need to go for an Italian restaurant which is vegan friendly and 4-star rating, but near me. So what you have given to the device is, 1, as an input you need Italian. 2, you have given a location input, which is a sensor base. 3, you have given a rating comparison. Now, these are 3 different computation which are working.
And dietary restriction.
And send it to people. Now, that's how it has gone in. You would have taken 4 or 5 clicks and it solves. Cut to, imagine 2 of us sitting in a flight and we have a person, say a Spanish person or any other nationality person. Now, you don't have internet.
Yeah.
How do you use AI? That's the power of on-device AI which we have built in. If you have the pack downloaded on your device, you can actually talk in English and you can reply, say, in a French or a Spanish, and you can converse. Now, that's where the technology is going. So that's how, the use cases will keep adapting and changing, and it will keep becoming more and more powerful. Like Navkendar said, there will be definitely about personal AI. Imagine I'm watching a video and I tell the agent that, okay, I am lactose intolerant. Next time, what is fetching for me is not a recipe, say a paneer tikka recipe. Which is not as built on milk. Yeah. So that's how the adaptation will happen. And the personal AI, what is just getting unveiled as an AI agent, will go very, very, very far, because over the years it will learn your preferences. Like Navkendar said, it's a particular time of the year when I take a break, school kids are closed. So it will learn those preferences and build cases for you around, which is more and more useful.
Absolutely, but sticking to the example that you gave of how you can do this on a Samsung phone, a lot of people know the catalog of products that Samsung makes, right? I think it was about 7-8 years ago where we saw interconnected devices in Samsung's portfolio at CES, right? So you have TVs, washing machines, refrigerators, smartphones, tablets, laptops, all communicating together. That was a very nascent stage. Yeah. Today, it's more seamless, and all of these products, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be a little shocked when I say this, are available in India. Exactly. So whatever you've showcased at CES 25, in the next 6 to 7 months will be available in India, will be able to talk to each other. So keeping the fact that all of these devices run on different hardware, the fact that you have to customize the software for different platforms. I mean, a fridge can't have the supercomputer from your laptop, right? There are those limitations as well. Yeah. How does Samsung work with its ecosystem, be it the hardware partners, the suppliers, the consumer, to create an ecosystem which is now so intertwined with each other?
So let me just put it into the 4 aspects of it. I walk with a Galaxy, I watch on a Galaxy, I create on a Galaxy, and I wash on a Galaxy. So they're
we're living in a galaxy, the Milky Way.
Exactly. So the way this connected, though they are different Samsung products, but that's how Galaxy is touching lives across. Yeah. Imagine you're watching a video, and all of a sudden you feel that I need to sleep, and you go asleep. Now your watch is telling the television that it's time to close the TV. Yeah. Now that's how AI is really, really adapting and going forward. When I walk out at 3 to 5, I need my vacuum cleaner to run. I will get a ping on my phone. You can just cling and imagine your house is vacuum clean. Now, these are all sci-fi things 10 years back, but that's happening. Yeah. Smart homes are reality. They are getting built. A lot of people are adapting to these technologies with the blazes, whether it's washing machine, refrigerator, television. But going back to your question when you said, how do we talk to the device? Now, Imagine, I'm not using my phone. I'm using this device called Ring. Now, how this is adapting to the 6 parameters of my sleep and giving the data to the device to predict my energy score. Now, all this while I've been taught that sleep is very, very important. The more you sleep, the better it is. Now, all of a sudden, I'm being taught that it is about the quality of sleep. How was your REM? What was your body temperature? What was your last day activity? Were you that tired? So that it brings. And it gives me an input in the morning, slow down.
Yeah.
And that's about how ecosystems will emerge to bring a life which is much better and richer in every aspect. So it is connectivity, it is about transferring data, it is talking to you back what you need to do, giving you right aspect. Let me talk about S25. There's a new feature which we have brought in. It's called the Now Bar. It's a briefing tool. So say every morning you pick up your keys and leave your home at 8 o'clock. It will give you a prompt. Do you want to carry an umbrella today? It might rain. Now that's how AI is getting adapted to your life, and it knows that this is what you will drive into every day. We were talking about this traffic situation. What if it gives you a prompt that do you want to take a detour? This might be a traffic area. That's how it is getting connected. We are working very hard with partners to bring a uniform AI mobile experience which really enrich the consumer life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's also a lot of communication happening pan brands, right? So I have an Xbox which I can control with Alexa. I have a Samsung TV that I can control with Alexa. So the minute I walk into my house, I'm like, Alexa, switch on the Xbox and switch the TV to HDMI 3, right? Where it's connected, and I can quickly go freshen up. And by the time I'm on my desk, my game is ready, loaded to run. And this is communicating with devices which are outside the Samsung ecosystem. So I think there's very good AI collaboration also that's happening for maybe with a smart speaker or with maybe a third-party vendor who is probably making something smaller, but that fits into the compatibility of your ecosystem.
Exactly. That's been one of our, and I'm glad you asked this, that one of our biggest pillar has been openness.
Yeah.
And that's the power of our mobile AI ecosystem, what we have been able to build. Today, when you use a laptop, and also take an example of a tablet, there is a key which is there of AI. The moment you press it, it asks you want XAI, say a Bixby or a Gemini. When I'm making my PPT, I have Copilot next to me. Similarly, I have Galaxy AI next to me. Now, that's the power what we are bringing. And this can only be achieved when you are open, when you are collaborative, and when you're working at one mission of making every consumer life simpler. So that's where we go back to. It goes back to a brand principle. Life opens up with Galaxy. And the word openness is extremely important.
Absolutely. And just moving to a little bit of data that IDC brings, right? You've always spoken about how people are still looking at 5G. You've answered part of this question a little before, but we can go maybe a little deeper right now. Is 5G will always be that selling point for the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. When do you see maybe a slight shift happening that this is one feature that, okay, 5G plus question mark is what I'm looking for, and that is creating a market shift?
See, again, it's difficult to predict which quarter.
Diwali quarter.
Some of the market is already happening.
Yeah.
People are asking. The example which I gave you, person had an X brand. He walked into the phone to buy an X brand only. He wanted to upgrade the same brand. He showed me the phone, the shopkeeper. He said, can this phone do that, erase the person behind? He said, no, this can't. He said, no, I don't want because my friend has a Y brand. He showed him the Y brand phone and he walked out. That is not AI, but for him that's AI.
Yeah.
He asked AI, "Meko AI wala chahiye." So that happens. It's already happening. But when you're asking that hordes of people start moving, that's not even happening in 5G right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We still have a large base sitting on 4G. The market, the belly of the market is not doing too well. We are taking at a very low single digit kind of growth. Organic growth is not happening. So India is slightly complex. There are layers to it. We have a large base, about 30, 40 crore people who are sitting in less than 20,000 rupees phone. Another 30 crore people who have a feature phone. So India is a slightly complicated market. It'll start happening. It's already happening. But if you ask me, next year probably is one of the big years, 2026, when AI breaks the price barriers and then it's everywhere. I just want to go back briefly to the point on the smart home. I think there are layers to that thing. One, specifically for India, our abysmal wired broadband penetration is a major
It's-
flaw.
okay.
It's one
Even
of the
after
major.
Jio did what
Oh,
it did?
absolutely.
Okay.
It's still not great. We leapfrog to mobile broadband, and that's one of the best we have, lowest cost also. Another thing is, and I think some of the brands have to take that, I would say, blame, or they were distracted by the smartphone business. There's always phone at the center. Then there are 4 device, watch, ring, and other. Now ring has come into the play, and other devices are there, band and others, right? TWS, watch, wearables, right? Then you have the other ecosystem of phone. I think brands did not, many of the brands used to show in the PPTs, but they have not done on the other pieces. TWS and others have done well because that's an immediately complementary device which talks to the phone. Others also talk to the phone, but then again, in India, housing is also a problem.
Yeah.
From ground up, when you buy an apartment in a major city, who are the typical consumer who can take a smart home? Either the builder gives you a full smart home or you do it on your own. You do it on your own, you go out in the market, you open yourself to Chinese brands, some of the other brands.
Yeah.
You can pick up anything. Then the problem starts. The standards don't match.
Yeah.
Devices don't talk to each other. All credit to Amazon, which you said. Alexa has all API integrations with it. It talks to every device. Most of the... Why shouldn't I have, for example, Aditya is here. I'm not putting you on the spot, but I have a Samsung TV, I have a Samsung phone. Why can't I have a Samsung camera? I can watch everything. That's what I'm saying. If it's a connected lifestyle for me, right? So you go out, the first thing in our consumer search says that people go and buy a camera,
Yeah.
right? Xiaomi did well there, but then we have CP Plus and we have Dahua and others. Don't talk to Alexa. Half of them, they don't get integrated to the TVs. So it's a layered problem in the smart home space which has happened. So I think that's a slightly more nuanced conversation which can be had.
Yeah, I want to take that point forward, and something what we see today at the market, it is very, very different. When you go to a consumer and ask him a question that what do you really need in the ecosystem, it goes back to the 3C theory. The first is what Navkendar was also mentioning is connectivity. You just mentioned about your family, how they the moment I open my TWS and I'm watching something on my laptop, I get a call on my phone. The device should be intelligent enough to change.
Yeah.
The second C is continuity.
Yeah.
First is multi-device. Every time I should not go and connect my laptop, my tablet, my phone. So that connectivity is at the core what a brand needs to solve. Second is continuity.
Yeah.
I made something, I made notes on my phone. I open my laptop, it should be up there to start my day. So continuity becomes the second thing. And the third is convenience. It's like camera example. It's technology and devices making my life convenient.
Yeah.
That's when I will carry 2 devices. Otherwise, most of us will be happy to carry 1 device.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where we have worked very, very hard to understand. Today we have 100+ cases to see that these 3 C's are extremely, extremely fractured experience which consumer goes through. And the moment you integrate them, then it becomes a very, very strong consumer preferences in long run to leave.
I mean, the consumer delightful experience is
Yeah.
summed up by consumer. It just works.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just works. Works means for them it will be layering, but just works seamless.
Yeah.
I don't have to do much.
I'll give you the simplest example is my son's now a toddler. He's an infant. He's like 6 months old now. And when my wife and I are watching TV, we can connect one pair of headphones to the TV because it has Bluetooth 5.3, right? It's just the newest version of Bluetooth that was there. It's still 2 years old. And I had a friend come home and say, "Nahi, but hum to ek kaan ka dusre ko dete hai. We only use TWS because my TV can't do it." And he was absolutely stunned that my TV could do this natively. And I told him, "Hey, you don't want to upgrade your TV? Here's a simple Bluetooth adapter. You can connect 2 of these and connect it to the 3.5 or the red and white port on your..." And with such a simplistic technology solution for parents who want to watch TV in the night was so mind-blowing for him. I can only imagine what we would give a solution like this, saying, "Zwip," and it's there on the TV. You know those expressions of people. I'm sure you thrive on this when you walk into a Samsung showroom and someone's actually taking this demo.
I want to take the exact point what we were talking about of 5G also, and connecting to what you are saying, that how it is important to make in India for India. Let's just go back to why today the 5G is not going where the 5G should be. When you tell a customer you are using a Super AMOLED phone, but today you use a FHD, because you're using a 5G, buy a 13 megapixel, not buy a 15 megapixel, because you're using a 5G, consumer will never compromise that.
Yeah.
In the consumer eye, every new purchase is built on upgrade. It is not, one cannot be at a cost of another. That's why we go back to our principle of make in India for India. We are blessed to have R&Ds with us, who goes and understand. So India have a lot of noisiest cities in the world.
Yeah.
Now, once I was walking at the street and I was talking to people, and somebody got a call and it was a lot of honking, and he said, "Can you develop Navkendar was saying, can you develop this feature?" He said, "Can you develop a feature which can, like you do a photo bouquet, can it do a noise bouquet now?"
Yeah.
It is a part of AI.
Yeah.
Say, today, even at a 10, 12,000 phone, we bring this feature called voice focus, which you can just click. A lot of time I've walked into an outlet and people have said, "Oh, voice focus wala phone dena." Yeah, what showed no more wala phone dena.
Yeah.
And that's the power of, when you build communication / technology, which is consumer first,
Yeah.
but not to compromise on the basics.
Yeah.
So it cannot be at a cost of one. So that's where, I feel the 5G is today. That today, if you ask a consumer to downgrade on a screen, on a camera, but to enable to a 5G, that's not happening.
That's not.
Yeah.
Till the time you don't get that right, it will keep struggling.
Okay. Now, my last few questions have more to do with the entertainment aspect of AI than the serious topic of it. So, anything else you guys would like to add on the serious side of AI before I jump into favorite movies which have AI?
Enough of AI. I think we've spoken about enough of AI.
So, favorite piece of fiction that has AI that you kind of really enjoyed?
Fiction, you're saying book or
Book, movie, TV show, anything.
That's too early. I mean, the popular choice, everybody says her, but yeah, it's a
Her
decent.
is your personal AI example. She's in my
Yeah.
ear. Yeah.
But otherwise, technology-related movies, I've always loved Minority Report, frankly,
Yeah.
right? So, but I think there was a book called Circle. I don't know how many.
It got made into a movie or a TV
movie
show.
also, right?
Yes,
so with
yes,
Tom
yes.
Hanks, I think.
Yes,
I don't remember.
yes.
So, camera on a pendant,
Yeah.
and then it gets activated when. So I think that was a very fresh. I think it came about 10 years back.
Yeah. And we have the human AI pin, so
Correct.
similar technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not a great example right now, but
yeah, but kind of trying
but
to
I
get
but
there.
I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. For you?
I will not go as a typical to say AI, but for me, the Iron Man was very, very telling that how technology can bring transformation. So I will bring that example that if we can keep working on technology bringing transformation, it will be productive and progressive.
Yeah, I think I would choose iRobot because I think it's a great action film with Will Smith and the fact that an AI robot actually becomes human emotion towards the end. The 3 laws, and so I think that would be one of my favorites. But now here's a little back to the future moment for you guys. Is if you could travel 2 decades into the past and tell your younger self maybe about the S25, what it is today, or your Ray-Ban Meta glasses today, how do you think you would react?
I can actually foresee what you're saying, a college conversation over tea. And if I would have been saying that, people would have been laughing at me that, oh, we can do our assignment like this. But that's a reality. So I feel that at 20 years down the line, you will again say, oh, you used to be. Like every time, technology have come and we all would have felt that, what were we living with? Say, as simple as Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
How can you imagine yourself not living with a Wi-Fi today?
Yeah.
So you got 20 years back, if something like this would have been talked, we would have been joked the way that, are you serious?
And 20 years in the future, where do you see technology? Where do you see the next big Samsung device 20 years in the future?
Very, very difficult to predict. But I think definitely solving consumer problem and enabling them again to do more and be more.
Yeah, and Navkendar, 20 years ago.
20 years ago, I remember we used to book slots for the computer room in our college and everything else. Now we don't need to even leave the room. My kid was telling that day, I asked him, I said, this is a live match. He said, what is a live match? They don't know the concept something comes live.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we be able to pause it? So we used to have live matches only as World Cup used to happen or Olympics used to happen.
Yeah.
So I think I would have been very surprised, frankly, by the kind of phones we're getting, and we can do everything on the phone as a Swiss knife. 20 years from now, I think as a consumer, our mobility and our habits of how we interact with people with worsen also, but I think some good will also come of the AI. I think passenger mobility plus your entertainment and other, we might have different cities also altogether. Maybe not 20 years, 30 years, down the line.
Yeah.
We might not be living in these many big cities. We might not need to be in these big cities. So I think everything will be available everywhere. I think that's going to be, but excited and scared also at the same time, frankly. If it doesn't, it's not rained. I mean, popular example with Doomsday, all naysayers give is a Terminator, right? AI becomes self-aware.
Nobody's naming their son John if their last name is Connor, for sure.
So I think that's but I think excited and scared both at the same time.
I think, I mean, if I look back 2 decades ago, I still loved going to watch films. It was 2004, so one of the Dark Knight Batman movies was coming out, the first one, I think, and it was most exciting. And then maybe a few years later, people started building home theaters, and this year at CES, they actually showcased Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos in cars, and you have Dolby Atmos already in the new Mahindras. So maybe 20 years later, you're just probably going to put in a lens and watch a movie sitting right here like this. So I think maybe entertainment would change. But my last question is going retro. One piece of retro technology that you would like to show your next generation and just watch them try to figure it out. What would that
something like this happened with me. You know, I'm a gamer. I play a lot of games every day. That's my go-to zone. So, you know, I actually took my nephew to a store where we used to play those games, and then arcade machine. And I at the moment I saw that, it was very, very nostalgic. And he was like, "How do you play game on this?"
Yeah.
So, you know, those emotion there were 10 people are standing around you just to watch what's happening in the screen. I wish I could show that shares, like I talked about the social excitement which used to be there, and how the bonding used to evolve. So some of those things, you know, along with technology, if it can be nostalgic, social togetherness and bonding, if it can be with the technology.
Absolutely.
So I did that in December break, went home. So my kid stumbled upon the pack of cassettes. So he said, "What is this?" Then I had to explain him the whole thing. It was a good 1 or 2 hour conversation. Explained him the whole thing. Then my Walkman, after 20 years, works.
Yeah.
And I 3.5
It's surprising it just works.
3.5 mm. I always carry one. I always carry a Pixel 4a phone because that's the only last phone which I have with 3.5 mm. So I use my 3.5 mm. And he said, "This works. This sound," and actually sound is slightly clearer also, right?
Yeah.
So obviously it's crashed and everything else. So it has already happened the moment. And he said, "Why can't they make it now? Why can't Peppa Pig and others come on this?" I said, "Now you are on visual medium. We used to be very auditory. Our entertainment used to be very auditory." So yeah, it's already happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just great to be able to see one old piece of technology, be it from, you know, you could have like the cassette player and the Walkman and the Discman and maybe an iPod and then just like a smartphone right next to it, just showing the evolution of portable music.
They keep on saying, "No, why do you think millennials are so angry?" They had to ditch their cassettes for Napster, then they had to ditch that for CDs. Then for CDs they have to, now you're telling them download songs. And now you have to stream. That's why we're so angry all the time.
So that's me, because I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, and you know, Top Gun, I had the VHS of that. I forced my dad to buy it after he showed me the movie. Then when the VCD came, I bought the VCD because I was like, now my computer can play this movie. Then the DVD came and I had a PlayStation 2 which could play DVDs in 5.1. Then the Blu-ray came and I had started working, so my dad said, "Go buy it yourself." Then the 4K Blu-ray came, which I did not buy because by then I had a streaming box where I could buy the movie. So yeah, I feel the millennial grief for that. And and thank you so much for joining me, you know, today for this episode. And for those of you that are watching and listening, you can subscribe for this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere else where you get your podcast fix. And if you would like to ask us any questions going forward, or if you would like some topics of discussions, you can leave them in the YouTube videos comment section, and we will definitely try to either answer them or pick them up in the next episode. For today, this is me, Sameer, signing off. Thank you so much for staying till the end. Thank you so much to my guests for being here. And we will catch you guys in another episode. It's goodbye for now.